Appearance on Dion's Daily Dose does not imply endorsement from or by any candidate or guest. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed by Dion Bergeron or Dion's Daily Dose are his own and do not represent the views, thoughts, and opinions of any guest. Material and information presented is for general information purposes only. The Dion's Daily Dose name in all forms and abbreviations are the property of its owners, and its use does not imply endorsement of or opposition to any specific organization, product, or service. If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose.
It's on. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Dion's Daily Dose. Today is Thursday, June 11th, 2020. So there's a lot going on in Seattle. And we know Seattle is way lefty anyway. But have you seen this Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone? Jack, hey, thanks for joining us. Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone is what it's being called. CHAZ, C-H-A-Z, CHAZ. So apparently protesters have seized control of an area of the city. And Trump is telling people, hey, not cool, we need to get it back. I've read a number of reports from all the way from CNN to Fox. And there are some disagreements about what is actually happening here. Let's see here. First of all, before we go any further, there's something that I have to show you because I think it's very, very true. Boom. Let's see here. Let me get this shared to you. And it really comes down to if you take offense to an imaginary talking police dog, you might be the problem. Have you heard about this? Apparently, cancel culture is now coming after Paw Patrol. Yes, Paw Patrol. A&E has canceled, or at least temporarily paused, Live PD. Cops has been canceled, the longest running show, like 30 something seasons now. It's canceled. It's gone. Cops, no more cops. No more bad boys. It's over. It's done. I don't even recognize where we are anymore. So here we go. We're going to dive into this Seattle thing a little bit and let you know exactly what's going on. Now, according to the Seattle Times, right, according to them, no police reports filed about use of weapons to extort Capitol Hill businesses, Best says. Now, the interesting part, it goes over, what brought on the riots and what all these things are about. Neither Seattle mayor nor police chief plan to resign, despite all the crazy stuff that's going on. Here's the interesting part right here. Police walk back report. Hill protesters extorted businesses. The Seattle Police Department walked back its claim, widely repeated in the news media, that denizens of the Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone are extorting businesses. Quote, that has not happened affirmatively, Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best in a news conference Thursday afternoon, adding that the police department had based earlier claims on anecdotal reports, including in the news and on social media. Quote, we haven't had any formal reports of this occurring. Now, that contradicts earlier statements from the police. It does said police have heard from Capitol Hill community members that some protesters have asked business owners to pay a fee to operate in a roughly 6-block area around the precinct. Police Chief Carmen Best repeated the claim in a video addressed to officers this morning. However, the police narrative rang false to many in the Capitol Hill business community. Restaurant owners said they hadn't heard any reports of extortion in the autonomous zone. On the contrary, Sales are strong, and the increase in walk-up business is cutting down on delivery costs. This protest has not hurt us at all, said Bakabak Chicken co-owner Brian O'Connor. When he came to the autonomous zone Wednesday, rather than extortion, he said he was met with an offer of a free bagel and cheese sandwich. I don't know. I don't know whether it's really happening. This is, good point, Dave. We haven't had a chance to get to that. The governor, right, of Washington said he didn't even know that the takeover had happened. The governor wasn't even in the loop that a group of people had literally taken control of a government building and several blocks around it. What? Nobody let the governor know? Like, isn't that somebody's job? I mean, I would think, isn't that someone's job to like pick up the phone and say, yo, Gov, we got some issues over here. I mean, you would think. I don't know. There's a few articles that I just want to touch on real quick. So Seattle protesters are occupying 6 city blocks as an autonomous zone. Now, it's interesting to me. You're going to see how the narrative shifts from left to center to right. Some fear a police crackdown is imminent. You mean removing people who are illegally? I don't know. Amid ongoing national protests, activists in Seattle have declared an autonomous zone in a 6-block area of the city's Capitol Hill neighborhood. Okay. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is allsides.com. This was shared to me on one of my posts, and it's actually pretty interesting. It shows you left, center, and right what people are saying. Amid protests and calls for police reform, TV networks drop cop shows, right? A lot of these police shows are now being dropped, right? And cop shows won't just disappear. How can we reinvent them? That's from Vox. We know where they stand. USA Today, amid George Floyd protests, is it time for cop TV shows to be canceled for good? And then cancel culture from the apparently the far right, far left, center, far right. So we have protesters set up autonomous zone in Seattle. Now, I have all 3 of these, right? We got the Seattle Times, we've got CNN, and we've got Fox. Here's Fox, and this is kind of interesting if you look at this. So according to this, what do the Seattle protesters who have seized their own autonomous zone want? They did release their list of demands. Seattle protesters currently occupying a 6-block cop-free zone that includes a shuttered precinct are now demanding things like free college and rent control on top of police reform. A lengthy 30-point list posted online by demonstrators titled, quote, "The demands of the collective Black voices at Free Capitol Hill to the government of Seattle, Washington, is calling for sweeping changes in the justice system, health and human services, the economy, and education. Quote, we demand that the Seattle Council and the mayor defund and abolish the Seattle Police Department and the attached criminal justice apparatus," reads its first point, adding that existing pensions for Seattle police should also be wiped out. Yes, they want police officers who served and retired and are now on a pension. They want to take their money as well. So as of Thursday morning, there is still no apparent leader of the group. The downtown space where the protesters are massing includes numerous restaurants and bars, an apartment building, and a police precinct that was closed earlier this week in hopes of easing tensions following days of clashes. So this is interesting. The list, right? First of all, we demand that between now and the abolition of the SPD, that each and every SPD officer turn on their body cameras, and that the body camera video of all Seattle police should be a matter of easily accessible public record, one point reads. The list also asks for a ban on the use of armed force by Seattle officers, which includes no guns, no batons, no riot shields, and no chemical weapons, especially against those exercising their First Amendment right as Americans to protest. Now, here is what I want to talk about that. As many of you know, I worked at Indiana State Prison. You can't bring weapons behind the wall, right? You don't get a gun, you don't get a baton. You get a little canister of OC/CN. It's tear gas, right? It's pepper spray. Tear gas isn't even the right word. It's pepper spray is what it is. So they want police officers to be completely unarmed. They don't even want them to have batons like they do in Britain. They want them unarmed and to be completely unable to respond to situations. What? Look, we can all see that there are some issues, right, with certain officers who are, might I add, in the vast minority. We've seen this with the millions of interactions between police and people across the United States in a given year. A tiny fraction of these people actually end up hurt. It's getting insane, absolutely insane. So according to this, and again, this is Fox News. We're going to cover all the way across the spectrum here. Fox News says Seattle Autonomous Zone has armed guards, local businesses being threatened with extortion, police say. Seattle police say they have received reports of armed guards and potential extortion in a self-declared autonomous zone that spans several blocks and includes a now closed precinct. We've heard anecdotally, now I think that's a key word, anecdotally, reports of citizens and businesses being asked to pay a fee to operate within the area. This is the crime of extortion. If anyone has been subjected to this, we need them to call 911. Assistant Chief of Police Dion said on Wednesday. Protesters calling to defund the police and make sweeping reforms to law enforcement tactics have declared a 6-block region spanning 13th Avenue past 11th Avenue near Cal Anderson Park and blah, 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 blah. I don't know the area. I've been to Seattle, but I don't immediately recognize where it is. So officers retreated from the area in an effort to quell the violence, which included multiple shootings. One that was sparked after a man rammed his vehicle into a crowd of protesters. Police officers have deployed tear gas and pepper spray to disperse large groups of people. Quote, "We wanted to be able to facilitate and support peaceful demonstrations," Nolet said. Demonstrations within the autonomous zone have been mostly peaceful with no reports of violence, but police say armed guards have been surrounding the perimeter of the region, and residents who live within the region are, quote, "forced to show ID to prove you belong there," a law enforcement official told Fox News. Now, remember this. This is Fox News. I'm not saying anything about that, but that's a great point, Dave. I haven't seen a lot of reporters that have actually been allowed in the zone. And anything, I want this to be perfectly clear. In general, the people who do things like this, who march in and take over an area, right, are generally lefty, right? These are the open borders people. I just want you to understand that the first thing these people did when they went in is set up a wall and start checking ID. Give me a break with this. Yeah, so me too, Mary. I have friends that are in law enforcement as well. Every officer I personally know is an asset to the force, an asset to their community, and very good people. No one is denying that there are bad eggs out there. They exist. But does our entire system need to be burned to the ground because of a tiny percentage of bad? I mean, the argument can be made in any profession, in whether public service or across the board. There are good and bad people, right? So, yes, absolutely, Mary, absolutely. I pray for their safety every night. So let's look at now. First of all, of course, this is CNN, so we know where they are. Seattle mayor tells Trump to, quote, go back to your bunker after he criticizes her handling of protests. You ever notice CNN doesn't have the most flattering pictures of our president? Just throwing that out there. So there's one thing in particular that I wanted to highlight about this article. So here's the interesting part. A city council member, Kashama Sawant, led by city council member Kashama Sawant, the protesters peacefully, they made sure to put peacefully, marched from Capitol Hill to City Hall, where Sawant allowed the protesters inside the building. CNN's affiliate KOMO reported. Protesters left the building around 10:30 p.m. local time, and Seattle police did not report any arrests. Durkin's office said the mayor will not be distracted from the critical work that needs to be done in a moment that Seattle is facing its most challenging time in history. Now, does anyone else see an issue here? A city council member joined. Yeah. I agree, Dave. Joined in, marched with these people, and let them in so they could take over a government building. Yes, you heard that right. There's more. There is more. That's from there. Let's close Fox News. Let's close CNN. So here is from the Seattle News, right? This is from yesterday. There are a couple of interesting things in this article here that I wanted to show you. I can't find it now, but here's what it comes down to. You've got reporting left, right, and center, and all of it comes down to, hey, Walter, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. It all comes down to, do we allow people to take over areas of cities? Is that the kind of future that we're looking for? Is that the kind of here's the thing. I am all for exercising your First Amendment right. Look at me. I talk, right? That's what I do. I talk. I'm all for the First Amendment. I'm all for peacefully assembling. I am all for calling out issues. Let's look at this election, right? There are issues. But unfortunately, when you start occupying blocks of a city, declaring it sovereign territory, that gets into some shady stuff. Let's shift gears for a moment. Let's talk about Crossfire Hurricane. Now, if you've been paying attention, you know that Crossfire Hurricane is the whole Mueller report and all of that, the FISA process. Now, this is interesting. This actually goes back a little bit to May. Chairman Graham announces committee to consider subpoena authorization related to oversight of FISA process, Crossfire Hurricane investigation. It's all right there for you. It's interesting, but what's the point here? Let me boom, drop that link for you. What's the latest? The latest from 8 hours ago. Senate Judiciary gives Graham sweeping subpoena powers in review of Russia probe. The Senate Judiciary Committee voted 12-10 along party lines Thursday to allow its chair, Lindsey Graham, to subpoena former Obama administration officials as part of the GOP-led probe into the origins of the 2016 Russia investigation. Why it matters. Graham now has sweeping authority to subpoena documents and more than 50 individuals related to the Russia investigation, including, you ready for this? Former FBI Director James Comey, former CIA Director John Brennan, and former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. The Senate Homeland Security Committee, which is also investigating the FBI's probe into the Trump campaign and transition officials, approved similar subpoena powers for its chair, Senator Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, last week. Judiciary Committee Democrats argued that Thursday's broad authorization removed the minority party's ability to approve individual subpoenas, calling it unprecedented and accusing Republicans of a fishing expedition to help President Trump ahead of the election. Democrats also argue the probe is unnecessary because Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz investigated the origins of the Russia investigation in 2019. Democratic attempts to amend the resolution to subpoena Rudy Giuliani, Jared Kushner, Paul Manafort, and other Trump associates were all rejected on party lines. Here's the thing. They're all focused on errors that Horowitz uncovered in the FBI's applications for wiretaps of former Trump campaign advisor Page, demanding they be investigated further. Look, it goes, yeah, exactly, Walter. It goes up, all the way up. It goes all the way up to Obama. I'm really hoping that eventually we can see him subpoenaed personally. I think the evidence is there. I think it was Clapper. Was it Clapper or another guy who said, yeah, Obama told us to, right? On record, we have that. So I don't know. We'll see. It certainly is good news for those of us who have watched this unfold and have said, why is this happening? What is going on here? We have an attempted coup against the sitting president, and are people ever going to be held accountable? Well, I can't speak to that, but I will say that the process is certainly being followed, and it's all legal. It's all there. Who knows? So here's the deal. On the Indiana Attorney General's race, I'm a delegate, right? That's one thing that I did get elected for. Yay! I'm a delegate and a precinct committee person, however you say it. The precinct is the delegate is important. Delegate is very important because the delegates choose who's going to be on the ballot in November as far as lieutenant governor and attorney general. I am undecided at this point. I will tell you that. I have some reservations about the race itself. I have some reservations about what's going on. I will share a lot more information moving forward, but I want to get all the ducks in a row, as it were. And I'm also trying to get Todd Rokita and Curtis Hill to come on my show. I think that would be pretty awesome. We had Westerkamp on, and I'm going to tell you, I really do. I like John Westerkamp. I think he's a good, honest, Christian guy, but he doesn't have a whole lot of experience. I don't know much about Harder. I've said before, I don't really like how that whole thing went down as far as Krupp dropping out and Harder taking over. I don't know that he's going to get a ton of traction, but I'm not opposed. They had him on Porter County Republicans, GOP. They had an interview with him. What I'd like to do, though, is I want to focus less on the politics, right? I want to learn about them as a person. I'd like to come on and ask them a few questions. What's your favorite book? What's, stuff like that. I think it'd be good to see these people as people rather than just political appointees and stuff like that. And that's a valid thing, Dave. Dave says, but remember that there's a lot there, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not going to say too much about that, but I would urge everyone to, if you're a delegate, look into everything. Look into everything about everyone. There are some emails circulating around. I'm not gonna do anything with those yet, but I would like all of the information to be considered before you cast your vote. Personally, I would like to have a number of delegates come on the show and we can have a discussion about, well, how are you thinking about voting? Why? Do you think that this person or this person would make a better attorney general? I think that would be an interesting conversation to have, and it's something that I'd like to set up post-interview. Personally, I'd like to see, this is my idea, right? Have an interview with our current Attorney General, Curtis Hill, talk to him for a few minutes. He doesn't have a whole lot of time, but he said maybe that he can come on for about 20 minutes, have a good conversation. I'd like to have Todd Rokita come on, talk to him for a little bit. And then maybe have a number of delegates. If you're a delegate in Northwest Indiana and you'd like to come on post-interview to discuss how you're going to vote, or you don't even have to say how you're going to vote, just discuss who you think would be a good AG, who you think wouldn't, your opinion. I think that would be a good conversation to have. I think it would be interesting. Let me know. Email me at talk@dionbergeron.com and we can set that up. There you go. And if there are questions that you want answered when I interview these people, or if there are certain things that you want done, let me know. I will tell you that there is something political going on right now. I am not at liberty to discuss it, but there is talk of potentially doing something else for me politically. I'm really excited about it. I'll be really, really glad when I'm able to make the announcement and then share it with you. I think it's going to be awesome. Personally, I do. We're also working on rebranding Dion's Daily Dose. If you have a suggestion for things that can make the show better, if you have a suggestion for logos or stuff like that, as you can see, I still got my little Dion for Congress up there. I'm going to replace that with a nice Dion's Daily Dose logo. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can add. I don't think I have it right now. Yeah, I'll find it later and add it. But you know what? That's a great idea, Walter. And I actually really like that. Let's do that. If you know of a blue collar candidate for any position in Northwest Indiana, personally, what I would like to focus on is Lake, Porter, and LaPorte counties. If you know of a candidate for any position, school board, county council, city council, and they'd be interested in coming on and talking, I'd love to have them. I would absolutely love to have them. Have them email me, talk@dionbergeron.com. I love it. I'd like to talk to more candidates. I'd like to hear what people's thoughts and ideas are. We'll set up a graphic for them. My friend Sean, who is a veritable whiz when it comes to finance, will be coming on next week. I'm waiting for the final approval for the name of his company before I can create the graphic and tell everyone what it is. But he'll be coming on to talk about the Fed and the deficit and what we can do about it, right? He personally thinks that a move to backed currency would be a step backward. I'm interested to see why he thinks that. And if you happen to know a lot about this, feel free to join us. He's going to answer questions from you too, and I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be very, very informative. I think it'll be a unique experience. Someone who actually knows a lot more about finance than I do. I know how to balance my checkbook barely, but I don't know about, stocks, bonds, stuff like that. He knows about all that. And he also knows about interest rates and the Fed and currency and all that good stuff. Yeah, definitely, Walter. If you know anyone out there that is running for office as especially blue collar candidates, people that actually want to make a difference, not necessarily, hardcore political elites, because let's face it, they get plenty of talk time. If you know someone that would like to come on and speak, I don't care what party they're on. I don't care if they're Democrat, Libertarian. I've had 2 Libertarians on my show. More than happy to listen to what they have to say and give them an opportunity to speak their piece. Apologize for the abrupt ending last night of my show. My teenager had a bit of a meltdown, and we had to go and deal with that. The joy of teenagers, am I right? Hormones just, so it is what it is. I'm very excited to share with you some of the upcoming developments, but I will tell you, I've asked both Curtis Hill and Todd Rokita to come on the show, and I'm hoping that they'll get back to me and be able to do so. So with that, thank you very much for joining me tonight. I will see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
If you'd like to support the show, please visit our Patreon at patreon.com/Dion's Daily Dose. This has been Dion's Daily Dose, hosted by Dion Bergeron. Executive producers Sean Holgram and Michael Beebe. Copyright 2020. Dion's Daily Dose. All rights reserved.